I would want to refer all of us to Section 34 of the General Regulations, Voter Registration Regulations, Section 34. It states that registration has to be done in the Kenyan soil.
Now, one quick question, I know the law ties, like in as far as the physical aspect of it. Now, the restricting or limiting of registration centers to the embassies and consulates, is that also the law, or is that, like a decision that was strategically made by IEBC? Because the argument here is that, yes, we do understand there has to be that physical presence, but IEBC could also have decided, like we're going to open, polling, registration centers in places that have high populations of Kenyans, like, for example, Dallas and Houston, Boston, and a lot of other parts of America that have very high concentrations of Kenyans, but they don't have a registration center. So talk to us about that decision to limit this to the consulates and embassies. Is it the law from Parliament, or is it a decision for the convenience of IEBC?
First and foremost, IBC would be glad to facilitate every Kenyan to participate. As it facilitates every Kenyan to participate, we hinge our decisions on the law. We anchor our decisions in the electoral framework that governs elections. I would want to refer all of us to Section 34 of the General Regulations, Voter Registration Regulations, Section 34. It states that registration has to be done in the Kenyan soil.
So take us,
Yes.
slow down a bit there.
Yeah.
Regulation 34. So is Regulation 34, and this is where now we want to speak in English so that people can understand. So is Regulation 34 part of the law, or is it a regulation that was created within IEBC?
We have the Constitution of Kenya, which is supreme
Yes.
law of the land. From the Constitution, we have the Acts of Parliament. Yeah, Acts of Parliament are laws that enable the many facets of the constitutions to be implemented. So once the Acts of Parliament are there, the Parliament also passes what we call regulations. Regulations breathe life to Acts of Parliament. So regulations are also law
From Parliament.
from Parliament.
Okay.
So from there, the IBC now formulates what we call policies, administrative procedures, guidelines, and all that. So that is the framework for the law that govern anything in the country. So we have the Constitution. Then from the Constitution, we come down to Acts of Parliament. From Acts of Parliament, we go to regulations that explain how Acts of Parliament are supposed to be implemented. Then after the regulations, now we come to policies. What is the policy of the Commission on voter education? What is the policy? Then we have the procedures.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have processes that govern those procedures and all that. So it's a whole spectrum. So when it comes to IBC, can only have a free hand in policy, in making their own policies, in making their own regulations, in making their own guidelines on how they do their own processes. But as far as the regulations, the Acts of Parliament, and the Constitution are concerned, the IBC hands are tied because that is the law.
Okay. All right. Very well answered. Very well answered. So IBC, in as far as polling places as far as polling places are concerned in how do we call this? In the diaspora. In the diaspora, in the embassies and the missions and the consulates, IEBC has no say over that at the moment.
We don't have a role. I don't have a say in changing, in say moving a registration center from the consulate or the embassy to another open
To
field
another location.
in that country.
Okay.
We don't have that power to do so.
Okay.
So we do it in Kenyan embassies because that is ours. That's our land.
Okay.
Yeah, we're registering Kenyan citizens
Okay.
in our land, in our property, to enable them participate as citizen of Kenya. And that can all be done in either the consulates or the embassies.
Yeah, because you see this issue of distance, like came up,
Always comes up.
considering US is a very big country, and a lot of Kenyans feel that it may cost them upwards of $2,000 to travel twice to register and then to travel again to vote. And some even have referred to this as a diaspora poll tax, which of course we know poll taxes are illegal both in America and in Kenya. But I think you've given a very good answer on why IEBC's hands are tied right now. I also noticed that in Tanzania, for example, there was a polling station in, I believe, in Dar es Salaam, and now there's another one in Arusha. So I believe the one in Arusha is at the East Africa Community
Yes.
Mission.
It's a consulate.
Okay, so it's kind of like a consulate
It's
too.
a consulate.
Okay,
yes.
all right. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's
and about costs, elections are very, very expensive, and there are costs that are borne by the Kenyan government, and they're costs borne by the voters themselves, even back home. Say a voter working in Mombasa will always want to travel to Turkana, for example. And if they want to vote in Turkana, they have to bear that cost to move from Mombasa to Turkana. And it's a sacrifice. It has a cost attached to it. And we would want to urge all Kenyans to just bear that cost with glad hearts, knowing that they're doing a civic duty even to themselves. And I know good governance structures are central to the hearts of Kenyans residing outside the country. And the government of the day also matters a lot. And yeah, we would want all of us to bear that cost so that we elect leaders of our choice.